net, CQ, the old friends net. This is N4LQ, Steve in Shelby, North Carolina. Old friends net meets here on 160, 1864 every night. Anybody running AM is welcome to check in with us. So if you'd like to check in, call now. N4LQ listening.
N4R.
KO4CTM.
Okay. I got KN4R and KO4CTM. Any more check-ins? Alright, got the big rig on tonight. The AF68 and the amplifier and the fan blowing. You can probably hear it in the background. But, let me see here. This just didn't seem like the fan and the amplifier was blowing hard enough, so I turned on the auxiliary fan that blows air into it to kind of help out a little bit. So I hope everybody had a lovely day. It certainly was here in Shelby. KN4R to take it, N4LQ.
N4LQ. And GM, KO4CTM, Brian, KN4R. Yeah, beautiful, beautiful day today. And it was really nice. I go back to the doctor's tomorrow to have my eyes checked, so that's good. Maybe they'll release me and let me get back to regular. And I'm not as blurry as I was, so getting better. I did track down an early Pan Am receiver. It's actually an SW3 modified by Pan Am. It's got a data tag on it and all that. And it says it's a Pan Am airport receiver. You can believe that. So, and also the logging scale on the front shows it was used from like 4 megs to 7 megs or so. So anyway, interesting stuff. So how about you, Jim? What's going on? KO4CTM in the group, KN4R.
KN4R, KO4CTM. Very good, Brian. Good deal there. Hopefully your eyes are getting better and you'll be right back to normal. So I'm sure that's been a little bit of a journey for you, but I hope that gets better soon. Very good on the Pan Am receiver. That's interesting. I didn't know any such thing existed, but yeah, pretty good day here today. It was a beautiful day, nice and sunny, warm. Sat out on the deck at lunch and probably got a little too much sun for my lily white skin, but probably got a little extra burn there going on. But anyway, pretty good day. Busy at work early this morning and had a bunch of stuff going on trying to get ready for the end of the month. And I was busy this past weekend trying to get the garden squared away and get it in, and Cammy and I doing our usual running around and whatnot. But other than that, it's been a good day. So on back to you, Steve. N4LQ, KO4CTM.
Okay, real good, guys. Anybody else want to check in? Saw a aircraft band base station transceiver. I'm looking at it here on eBay. Rare ham radio 6L6WGB tube aircraft band base station transceiver. It's a mouthful. I recognize this thing. It's one of those, what was that brand? We talked about this a while back, Brian, and I'm trying to remember the weird brand name. It says unbranded, but I've seen it somewhere before. but it's got crystals on the front. It's got a PA tune. It looks like it's a real aircraft receiver, 108 to 136 megahertz. So it wouldn't be much fun on HF. Well, anyway, I've had some fun on CW lately. I love this SDR. It's just so nice on CW. I don't think I've ever heard anything sound like it before. It kind of spoils you, I guess. But I'm on the RX888 SDR receiver, and then the AF67. I think I said 68 a while ago. This is the 67 transmitter, and I'm using that Conrad microphone, the crystal microphone with the 2 elements. I've got it mounted on a boom hanging upside down in front of me. It really looks cool. But it makes it kind of nice. Got a little thumb button here I push to key the amplifier in the rig. And it took a little bit of time to get it wired up from changing it over from the SDR to this AF67. I got a stack of adapters on it, so I guess I need to make up a permanent adapter for it. Anyway, trying to think. Found a turtle in the driveway today. This turtle was about the size of a quarter, I think, about the size of a quarter. And it was a terrapin, little baby, out in the middle of the driveway. And I thought, what in the world are you doing here? And I picked him up, and he just kind of looked like he was half dead. And I showed him to the neighbor across the street, and he looked it over, and I brought it in, showed it to the wife, and she looked at him, and then I took him over in the woods and placed him next to a tree, and I came back 4 or 5 hours later, and he was gone. So either something got him, or he was playing dead and took off. I don't know. I would suspect the former, though. Anyway, it's an exciting morning. Sirens and flashing lights at 6 o'clock this morning. The neighbor next to us here had a heart attack, and there were fire trucks, EMS, pickup trucks, and all kinds of shenanigans. I mean, they even had the main road up there blocked. I don't know, but he's in ICU now. So hopefully he'll come out of it okay. Let's see, one more time. Anybody want to check in? This is N4LQ. Okay, back to you, Brian. Last night I got on here and there wasn't anybody, so I'm glad you 2 guys showed up. Keep me company, and say something. If you can't think of anything to say, just say alligator. That's what we learned from church group years ago, that if you can't think of the words to the song, just use alligator. It's got 3 syllables. You can do about anything with it. KN4R, N4LQ.
Steve, KN4R in the group, N4LQ in the group, KN4R. Very good. Alligator. Sounds good. I'll have to practice that, Steve. Well, very good on your turtle, your baby turtle. That's good. Let's hope he was just a little fatigued, and he got over it and found him some water and all that. And I'm very sorry to hear about your neighbor, but it sounded like everybody responded very quickly. I wonder if you, I assume you know the neighbor. I wonder how old he or she might be. So, and very good on your Russian SDR transceiver, working wonderful on CW. That's great news to hear. The AF67 sounds great, along with the Conrad mic. It sounds very good. I don't hear the fan noise unless I turn the volume way up, and it really doesn't sound like fan noise. It just sounds like a little white noise in the background. So, great. And we need to see a picture of your microphone mounted upside down. I'd like to see that. So, And I guess that's about. My brother-in-law came over tonight. Kathy, my wife, she cooked us both a big meal, and Bradley was over with his dog, and we had a couple of neighbors over here as well. They've been house sitting the house next door while they were on a cruise, but they are leaving. The two gentlemen are leaving tomorrow, going to Sevierville. They're going to see the Smoky Mountain Knife Works, and they're also going to see the Tennessee Aviation Museum there. So they got a busy schedule on the way back to Minnesota. So back to you, Jim, and your rig sounds very good tonight as well. KO4CTM in the group, KN4R.
KM4R, KO4CTM. Very good, Brian. Yeah, running the $75 Raleigh Hamfest Special Globe Champ 300. So it seems to be doing a pretty good job. Interesting story about the turtles. I remember back in the day, I would go up to on vacation to my grandparents in Virginia, and my grandmother drove it was about a 1970 or 72 Chevrolet Nova. Now, that's a pretty interesting car for such an aged woman, but she would get into that Nova and she would just fly through those Virginia curved roads up there in the middle of nowhere. And we were going down the road one day, and all of a sudden she just locked up that Nova and just came to a screeching halt and pulled over to the side of the road. And I was like, what in the world's going on? Well, she got out and she went out in the middle of the road so that she would get the turtle that was in the middle of the road, and she took it to the other side. But now, I'm telling you that she locked up the Nova. We were probably going 60 miles an hour down this 2-lane Virginia road, and she just did that. That was her thing. She just would lock it up, she would come to a screeching halt, and she would get out and she would move that turtle to the other side of the road and then get back in and act like everything was normal. But that's my turtle story for the evening. Yeah, sorry about your neighbor there, Steve. Hopefully he or she is okay and will get back squared away from that. That's kind of tough. But yeah, well, this evening was a French meal. We're doing the French cooking thing around here. So we had swordfish braised in white wine and haricot vert, which is basically green beans. We say green beans, but the French would say haricot vert, and quinoa. So there you have it. That was, and then a French strawberry tart for dessert. So anyway, learning a lot in the French cooking scene over here in Climax. kind of strange that you're doing French cooking in Climax, North Carolina, but hey, it works. So anyway, back to you, Steve. M4LQ, KO4CTM.
Okay, Jim, KO4CTM, N4LQ. Anybody else want to check in?
This is November 4, Radio X-Ray Victor, Joe in Central Georgia.
Okay, Radio X-Ray Victor in Central Georgia. Just about didn't get that. A little bit weak, but let me get all of your call. I think it was KO4, but I'm not sure. Go ahead and give us the call real slow and loud, and tell us about your QTH and rig again, and we can get you in here on the round table. This is N4LQ listening.
Okay, I think you said N4LQ. Apologize for not being able to hear you very well. I've got a lot of noise in here. You guys were in there pretty strong a couple days ago. This is Joe in Georgia. Give me an upset. I'm located in Central Georgia, about 100 miles south of the big airport there in Atlanta. close to a town called Macon, M-A-C-O-N. Been trying to listen for y'all. You're the first person I could hear a little bit. A couple of days ago I heard y'all quite nicely. The band was just quiet. Now the noise is 20 over. I'm hoping today'd be a good day. I think you guys are in here from 7:30 to 8:30, and just as I got tuned up, y'all stopped. But I just wanted to try to get in here and at least get my call in there one time. And maybe one of the other days y'all get in here, I might be able to hear y'all a little bit better. But 20 plus with the noise here. Anyway, again, this is Joe in Georgia, Juliet Oscar Echo. I'm located in central Georgia, and I'm sorry I can only hear you there. N4LQ. This is Joe in Georgia, November 4 radio. X-ray Victor.
Yeah, okay, November 4 radio, X-ray Victor. Yeah, I got you tuned in better here now, Joe, and copying fairly well, about a 4 by 5 I'll give you. Every now and then you'll take a dip and I'll miss something, but real good about being down there in central Georgia. So we got you here on the list, and we'll see if anybody else here is able to copy you. Is there anybody else that'd like to check in tonight? Kind of a slow night tonight. Okay. So Brian, let's see. Where were we on the age of the neighbor? Yeah, I'm guessing he's in his 50s. He owns a lumber company here in Shelby, so he's probably pretty well known. Maybe that's got something to do with the response, because it was over the top, man. I tell you what, 2 EMS trucks, fire truck, all kinds of pickup trucks, and were people walking up and down the street, and up there where you turn in from the jaws of the life, they had the road blocked. Man, it was something else. And that's what woke me up was the sirens. For some reason, they turn the siren on when they leave. I guess they had him in the ambulance. And of course, everybody was still in bed. There wasn't any cars around, but boy, they let her rip. So anyhow, he's like I say, about in his 50s, him and his wife, and the kids are pretty much growing up, I think. I don't know if they're married or not. Don't know a whole lot about the deal. He's got a tennis court in the backyard down there by the lake, and they have some of their friends come over all the time, not tennis, but volleyball. Yeah, volleyball court. And they whoop it up down there sometime on Wednesday night playing volleyball. Anyway, over to you, Brian, KN4R, N4LQ.
Steve, N4LQ in the group, KN4R. Well, good evening to Joe, N4RXV. I'm copying you pretty well, Joe. Glad to have you with us. And my name is Brian, KN4R, King Nancy 4 radio. I'm using an IC7610, driving a ACOM 1000, and into a InFed half wave. So hope you're copying, but we're glad to have you with us here. So, and Steve, very good. Appreciate the picture of the Calrad mic. I remember those. I'm not sure I could ever have one. I didn't have one, but sure does look nice there as a boom mic. So, and I sent you some pictures of this Pan Am SW3 airport radio, if you can believe that. So, let's put it back to Jim. And let's see, let me check all my notes here. I write everything down. And okay on your neighbor. I hope he pulls through there. The 50s is not. That's a little too young, you know. So. But it sounds like he tries to stay in shape playing volleyball with the neighbors. That's pretty cool. So, and Jim, the Globe Champ 300 sounds marvelous. I'm beginning to think that Globe Champs have great audio, and yours certainly does. So, KO4CTM, and the 160 old friends. This is KN4R, over.
KN4R in the group. Very good, Brian. Good evening. RXV, this is Jim, Kilo Oscar 4, Charlie Tango Mike, in Climax, North Carolina, central North Carolina, right outside of Greensboro. You're a little light here into my QTH, but I was able to copy you. I just didn't catch everything. So, but good evening to you, and welcome to the group. And be sure and come back and join us. Yeah, and Steve, that's definitely pretty young there to be going through that for your neighbor. So hopefully that turns out to the good, and instead of the other direction. So yeah. So hopefully that gets better there. So yeah. So not a whole lot else going on here. So I will turn it over to Joe. So N4RXV, take it. KO4CTM.
Well, I was able to find y'all on SDR, so I just heard that coming in quite well. So good morning to you. Again, Joe in Georgia, N4RXV. We're on a 21V1, if you will. This is nomenclature that. 4400 modulated by pair 813s. A Bogan audio amplifier driving the 813s, and a little Behringer front end on it. Homemade antenna tuner and the ladder line up to 160 meter full-wave loop. So I missed most of that round, but just did get a web SDR in Raleigh, and now I can hear you. Can't hear you in my station. It must be one of those things you put around your yard to keep the dog in, and that must be what's making all this chatter here. But I can hear you quite well on the Raleigh NC, Raleigh, North Carolina station. I hope y'all can hear me, and I did hear y'all in there a couple of nights ago, and I tried to get to you, but if you don't mind telling me what your time frame is there. I don't know if it's 7 to 7:30 to 8:30 or 8:30 to 8:30 or whatever it is. I know I missed it, but I did at least catch the back end of this. Joe in Georgia, November 4, radio X-ray Vixen.
Okay, Joe. N4RXB, N4LQ. I think I've either talked to you before or listened to you before or something, because I brought up your QRZ page and I recognized that loop, the rotating loop antenna, that you got pulleys on all the corners and you can drag it around to change the direction. Now, I wonder, let's see, N4RXV. Yeah, I got you in the log from back in 2017. But that was here on 160. You must have checked in or something, or broke in or something. We didn't have a net back then, but we had a round table every now and then. But I've heard you before, and I've looked at this QRZ page, and I've seen this loop, and you got quite a collection of AM gear. Well, I think you would enjoy checking in with us on what we call the old friends net on 75 meters on 3715. Now, Sundays would be the best day, I think. That's at 6 p.m. On Sundays, and then on Tuesday, tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock, and Thursday at 9 o'clock in the morning. You might make it in. We do have some stations from Atlanta area, and sometimes it gets a little rough with them, but you might be able to make it in with that loop and some extra power. But you're certainly welcome to show up. And Gosh, that Globe Champ, man, that thing is loud, Jim. I mean, it is super duper turbocharged audio. Never heard anything so loud. And that's a good thing. I mean, you're 150% modulation, I would say. The VFO is all over the map, though. I can't use the synchronous AM. You're jumping as much as 1 kc up and down and back and forth and all over the place. I don't know why it won't stop. It looks like it would settle down and just slowly drift, but it's jumping like crazy. So I switch over to just pure AM mode. I don't have any trouble. I don't even know it then. But the synchronous mode, it hunts and looks for you, tries to keep up and can't do it. And Brian, that's quite a receiver, man. Oh man, that was at some airport. If they were using an SW3 rated radio, that's what it looks like. And yeah, sunglasses. Well, you look good in sunglasses. Those are pretty good. I guess you need those for your eyes after that surgery. Pretty shady looking guy. All right. Anybody else want to check in? This is N4LQ. Give me a call. I don't know. We've been abandoned. I haven't heard Cliff for a few nights, and KZ4B, who I think is going to the old friends luncheon. He's probably going to come up here and ride with me and go down there and raid the chicken livers. And you got to get to the bar before he does, or they're all gone. KN4R, N4LQ.
N4LQ in the group, KN4R. Well, very good on everything, and I agree on Jim's Globe Champ 300 super modulation. And you know, the one I have gets great modulation reports too, even though it's a little hummy. But my VFO also jumps around, so I need to investigate that sometime, or get me a crystal for 1864, one or the other. So, and Joe down in Central Georgia, you're sounding okay up here. Not real strong, but you know, it's great to hear you here, and I hope you keep trying to check in with us here, and also on 3715. And very good on your steerable loop antenna. I will check that out on your QRZ page as soon as I go downstairs. And I'm still not sure what the doctor is going to say tomorrow, Steve, in terms of traveling or driving or anything else. So I'll know better tomorrow by lunchtime or so on what I can or can't do here. So I'm glad that John's planning on driving over to your place. I'd love for him to come by and pick up a box for Charlie that I have here in the garage, but I know that's an imposition. But I guess there's a chance I might be able to go. So anyway, I will let you know a little later. So back up to you, Jim. KO4CTM in the group, KN4R.
KN4R in the group. Very good, Brian. Yeah, I wasn't aware of the VFO jumping around. On the scope here, it looks like it's kind of stable, but there's no guarantees there. But yeah, Joe, I was able to pull you in. This I'm receiving on a Hallicrafter's SX101, and once I fiddled a little bit with the notch and the notch depth, I was able to pull you in fairly well. So that's all good. And yeah, well, very good on. I'm glad that the Globe Champ has got good modulation. That's a good thing. You know, I was struggling with it there to begin with. It was cutting in and out, and I just had to do a little cleaning on it. But for the small investment that I have in it, I think that it probably does a pretty good job. So I'm fairly happy with it. Not a lot else going on here from Climax. I'm going to go ahead and say 73. It's been a long day. I was up early and busy at work and whatnot, so I'm gonna go ahead and jump off. But everybody just have a great evening, and hopefully I'll be in tomorrow evening as well, and I'll talk to maybe you, Steve, in the morning, maybe. So anyway, I'll say 73 here from Climax, and I'll turn it on to you, Joe. So N4RXV, go ahead and take it. KO4CTM, 73s, and good evening.
Okay, very good there. KO4CTN, I think I got all of that right. KO4CTN. Been working on getting 160 on this radio to work here. It kind of wanted to skip around and squeal and a couple other things there, but I had to readjust the homemade antenna tuner till it worked properly. I think I got that part working okay now. And up and running, so I was able to hear y'all. Can't hear you here. I'm on the 21V1 using the TS440 as a drive unit, as an exciter, and then I'm receiving it through it. So I don't know what kind of selectivity and all that it has, but it is just really picking up a lot of noise. I even went to the beverage antenna, and I think it's working on the beverage antenna. That's why I'm wondering if one of these neighbors down the road here has got one of those dog collar things that they put out there in the yard, something like that. It's just making a whole lot of noise. But anyway, I'm glad to at least be able to get on here and hear y'all. I know it's a kind of the first time here for me to jump in here and say hey, but I've got it set up on 1864, and I guess you guys are on here from 7:30 to 8:30. I think I just got set up, and it was 8:30, and we said, okay, time to go. We kind of stretched out to this time, so I'll be trying to listen out here around 7:30 when I can. I'll try to go up on 3715 on the old Friends net there at 6 p.m., but I don't have my schedule is normally to get on the radio, you know, in the evenings, in the afternoon and evenings. But I'll definitely try to see what I can do to find a better time to catch y'all in there. And one of the goals was to get on 160, and with this 21V1 here I've got, I was able to put a little umph in there. The TS440 will get on AM 160, but my national NCL 2000 doesn't have 160 on it for the amp. Mostly you find me on 40 meters quite a bit. That's where I've always grew up there on AM with them. But again, appreciate y'all setting me in here, Steve. I guess it'd be close to y'all's time to close up again here, but again, appreciate y'all picking me up, and I'll try to get in here more often as soon as I can get situated where I can hear y'all. A little bit easier than just on a web SDR. This is Joe in Georgia. Steve, Brian, KO4CTN. I didn't quite get the name. I didn't just trying to write all that down at the same time, and but I'll get you in here eventually here, and maybe the next time or two I'll get the setup straight in my head. This is Joe in Georgia, here in Central Georgia, November 4, Radio X-Ray Victor.
Okay, Joe, real good. I really appreciate you checking in with us, and do so anytime you can. This is a quiet night. QR Nancy is not bad, but half the time it is in the summertime it gets atrociously bad, and when that happens we are known to switch over to single slop bucket. Otherwise we wouldn't be able to do anything. So we'll say 73s to you and the Jim, and check one more time, see if anybody else wants to check in. This is N4LQ listening. Hey, the king of chicken livers is here. KZ4B, N4LQ. Go ahead and make a transition. This is N4LQ.
Steve, I hadn't been reading the mail, so I don't know what themes need to be followed. But it was a beautiful day today, and so we were able to get our walk in. and we bought still more batteries. So that's the news from Lake Wobegon. So back to you, N4LQ in the group, KZ4B, over.
Okay, well, only me and Brian are left, I think. And Brian has a box that he wants you to bring along Thursday if you're coming. So you guys, you need to swim across the lake, John, and pick that box up. And let's see, Joe, if you're still listening, fine on the noise. You're not sure what it is, and it might be a solar panel. It might be a wall wart. It might be the dog fence. I've got an electric fence up the road here. Some horses put up. Makes a little bit of ticking sound on 75 meters up there. I can use it. It's easy to take it out with a noise blanker. I just don't like using noise blankers. They got side effects. Over to you, Brian. KN4R, N4LQ.
N4LQ in the group. KN4R, very good. Hey, Joe, before you go, just wanted to let you know you came up. You were a lot stronger that last time around. So sounding good up here. And okay on having to use the Raleigh SDR to hear us because of the local noise. And interesting that you're getting the same kind of noise on your beverage as well as your steerable loop. So, well, just keep working on it. Hope you can track some of that noise down. I don't know if you're out in the country or in the city or what, but we drove around to Steve's house one day with using an AM car radio up around 1700 KC, and we found the source of the problem that day. It was real easy, in fact. So it was a house up the street. But anyway, very good. And I'm not sure if you're retired or not, Joe, but the old friends get on 3715 at 9 a.m. on Tuesdays and Thursdays as well. So Tuesdays and Thursday a.m., 3715, 9 o'clock in the morning, should you happen to work from home or be retired or whatever. But keep up the good work down there. Look forward to talking to you again. 73's Joe. And hello, John. How you doing? This is Brian. I'm going back to the VA tomorrow to get my eyes checked, and we'll see what they say in terms of traveling or picking up heavy objects or, on and on. And then I do have a box, like Steve mentioned. I do have a box over here to go to Charlie. I'd love to coordinate that either way. So we'll just see. I'll touch base with you after tomorrow. So KZ4B in the group, KN4R.
Okay, KN4R in the group, KZ4B. Fine business there, Brian. I will, I guess, stop by your house around 9-ish on Thursday. How big is this box? Is this something I can put in the car seat? The back section is pretty full. But if it'll fit in the car seat, then no problem. So, about 9 o'clock-ish on Thursday. Does that sound okay with you, Blake?
Yeah, it sounds fine. And there's a small chance I might end up going to the old friend's luncheon. Just not sure yet. And that box is not bad, John. It probably weighs, it's a Dentron, what do you call it, transverter that came from N3 BJ at Raleigh Hamfest for Charlie. And it's probably a foot and a half by a foot and a half by a foot tall and in a box, and it only weighs about maybe 10 pounds or something, so it'll fit very well in your car. Over.
Roger, no problem at all. It'd be nice if you could go. I assume I'll be driving in any case. I sure hate missing my chauffeur, but I'll survive, and for whatever that's worth. But I will try to swing by your place. It's pretty much on the way anyway, which is highly convenient. And So we will do that. And let's see, what else? Let's see. The frequency generator that I got from your buddy works nicely. That's a solid state, whatever came after the BC221 series, and there was a later number than that, but it was a 2 gig, and this was the solid state signal generator. Checked that out the other day, and works quite nicely. And I had forgotten that is a direct frequency readout on the I guess it's almost like a film strip. And neat thing. Don't know. Like a lot of the junk that I have, I don't know if I really need it, but I love it. So on that note, back to Steve, N4LQ in the group, KZ, 4 Bravo, over.
Okay, I've seen some receiver that had that kind of a film strip. It may have been that FRR24. Seemed like it had some kind of weird thing like that with a magnification lens over it, so you could see it and a light in there. Kind of an oddball system. Anyway, let's see if anybody else with stragglers would like to check in. This is N4LQ. Anybody else? Okay. Well, I don't have much more here. John, I am using the CalRad crystal mic. This mic is shaped like a pill and looks like a big AR-77, I think that is, RCA, except it's about 1/3 the size, and it's crystal instead of a ribbon mic. It's got 2 crystal elements in it, one facing up and the other faces down above it, so they face each other, and when you talk, you're talking through in between those 2 elements, and it's obviously omnidirectional because it just got a screen around it, which is another interesting point. I guess it'd be good for a musical group or something. You could sing in any direction into it. But I've listened to myself, and I like how it sounds. It sounds better to me than the D104. It's got more highs and a little bit more lows, a little bit broader. And I don't know if that's because of the 2 elements or their relationship to each other or what. Otherwise, it's in good shape. Let's see. Big deal in Charlotte today was the police. See, it was a U.S. Marshal and a bunch of cops tried to serve a warrant at a house. Ended up 3 cops killed by this guy. And there's a big shootout. 3 cops down, and one guy did it, and they're trying to serve a warrant to him. What a deal. It's pretty well taken over the news there in Charlotte. So, over to Brian, KN4R, N4LQ.
N4LQ in the group, KN4R. Very interesting on your omnidirectional microphone. Sounds like it has 2 elements in parallel, which is pretty cool. So, yeah, those weren't terribly expensive microphones, if I remember right. Seems like Lafayette sold them and others. Very good. And yeah, as far as the optical digital stuff with the tape, you know, I'm trying to think of the Wadley loop receiver looks kind of like a SP600, but it's British made. That it had a big long film, like a tape measure film type of thing, and but you're right about the FRR24s having the optical digital displays. It was kind of the start of the Navy. A lot of their receivers ended up with that, like the SRR 11, 12, and 13. I'm pretty sure they stole that technology from the Germans, because the Germans, some of the better receivers latter part of the war had there was a line of receivers called the E52, E53, and E54, and they also had the optical digital display. So anyway, John, I'll let you know something tomorrow, regarding driving or riding or anything else. So, but either way, worst case, if you could stop by here, it would be wonderful, and I'll send you off with the thing for Charlie. So I'll say 73s and listen until the end. So KZ4B in the group, KN4R.
Brian, you're sounding great tonight yourself. What rig are you on, Blake?
I'm on the 7610, pushing an ACOM 1000, and I'm using a boom microphone. I don't know what the name of it is, but it's my nicer microphone. Over.
Roger. Well, it sounds good. And Steve, that AR-77 lookalike, it sounds great. It really does. And you're right. I think it sounds even better than a D104. And the AR-77 RCA mics are stupid valuable. But Calibrad was kind of a bottom feeder in theory, but it really does sound great. And I do remember seeing those mics advertised a million years ago, and they were very reasonably priced. And let's see, what else was I going to say? Oh, Brian, I believe that receiver with the film strip was a Raycal. I don't remember what model number, but Steve, it's not a digital readout. It's actually lists the frequency numerically, and each division lists a different frequency, and it's really neat. It's a tape that's 3 rows wide, and there are 3 bands, and the lowest row is like I forget the exact limits, but we'll say like 0 to 2.2 megahertz, and then the middle row is like 2 megahertz to 30, and then the last row is like 30 to 1,000 megahertz or 1 gigahertz, and you don't have to do any kind of interpolation or anything. The only thing, and I haven't dug into it, the lights, which were probably incandescent, are not that bright. And I would imagine it would be an improvement to go to an LED. In the old days, incandescent lights would put out more heat than light, so you couldn't have much light. But if you had an LED, it's just about all light. So that's the only modification, if in fact I can get to it. But it's like new, and a real interesting piece of gear, to say the least. And Brian, I will definitely try to swing by. Give me a call rather than using email. My email is working presently, but the call is more reliable. And if I don't hear from you I'll try to remember to call you back later on in case I keep my phone with me, but sometimes it goes to voicemail, which is, and I haven't been able to figure out why, probably because my inbox is full, but anyway, we will definitely sync up, and one way or another we'll try to get that stuff to Charlie. So, sorry I missed you guys earlier. Oh, I did want to comment on the police, and I had a question, Steve, before you close the net. I saw that on television. They said that it killed 3 marshals, U.S. marshals, and wounded 10 police officers on top of that. It was in East Charlotte. Do you know the ethnicity of the perpetrators? Were they like Hispanic non-citizens or what? So if you know anything, you know, they keep all that stuff secret because they don't want you to know what's going on. So if you know anything, please pass it on. 73, thanks for calling the net. N4LQ and the group KZ will be clear but listening.
Okay, KZ4B, N4LQ. Now I know very little. The wife was going to watch the press conference and find out whatever it is they're releasing. One thing I do know is the perpetrator is dead, which was the main thing, I guess. And the last I heard, there was 1 U.S. Marshal killed and 2 police officers, and they were some unit I forgot, on SWAT team or something like that. Kind of surprised me that they weren't protected better. But boy, I don't know how that one guy managed to do that much damage, but maybe we'll find out some more later on. So that's all I know, man. I did get a letter today from Aetna, our insurance company, and they said that they are no longer going to pay for athletic shoes, camping tents, fishing rods, hiking poles, and national park fees. I didn't even know I was covered with fishing rods, or I would have gotten one. But there's hundreds of other things here. I can still get my pickleball fees paid, golf green fees, bowling, yoga, stretching, dance classes, fees are paid. Well, that's, I mean, there's weights, lifting weights, yoga mats, and tracking devices, wearable items such as tracking devices. So, man, it just goes on and on. The stuff they cover these days, hard to figure. Anyway, I think Brian is gone, and I'm going to get out of here and say 73s and go check with the XYL and see what I can find out. And we'll be back in the morning at 9 o'clock with all the juicy details. 73. This is N4LQ. I'm going to close the net. Anything else, let me know.
Well, one thing I heard on TV, which may or may not be correct, because earlier they said three U.S. Marshals were killed, but they also said that the perpetrator who's dead was a shooter that died in the front yard, but that there were 2 individuals in the house that also shot back at the police who were not killed, who are in custody, and they also participated in shooting at the police. And of course, all that could be wrong because you never know. 73s enjoyed. KZ, full be clear.
Roger, Roger. Okay. Thanks for the info there, John. Talk to you tomorrow. N4LQ clear.